Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and today's video is our next installment into the Tactics and Strategy series, where we're going to be taking a look at whether to use on your high-tier American battleships, tiers 9 and 10, the rate of fire equipment piece, or the improved accuracy equipment piece. As we all know here in-game, there are three nations that have full battleship lines: the Japanese, the Germans, and the Americans. And as also, I'm sure we're all aware, the Japanese and the Germans are just much stronger ships, relatively speaking, to their tier 9 and 10 counterparts with the Iowa and the Montana, and then of course the premium Missouri at tier 9 as well. And with the American battleships, you don't necessarily have the same sort of build that you would have with the Japanese and Germans, and it's a question that appears quite a lot on the forums, and is something that I'd like to maybe help answer with this video today. So first of all, we're going to take a look here at my Izumo, the tier 9 Japanese battleship, and we're going to take a look at the upgrades, the equipment pieces that you have. I have the secondary build for the second equipment slot. However, as you can see here, I have my cursor over Aiming Systems Modification 1. It reduces your dispersion of your main battery by 7%, and then of course gives little buffs to your secondaries and your torpedo tubes. The Germans and the Japanese not only have access to this equipment piece for the second one, but also for the third equipment slot, you're able to have access to the increased rate of fire at the expense of having slower turret traverse. As you can see here now on screen with the third equipment piece slot, minus 12% to your main battery loading time, and minus 13% to your traverse speed. So again, while your turrets turn a slight bit slower, your reload goes down significantly in the case of the Izumo from 30 to 26.2 seconds, which is very significant. It's the exact same thing that you have to deal with on your German battleships as well. You can get the best of both worlds if you so desire. With the American battleships, however, it's different. Iowa, Missouri, and Montana once again. For the second equipment slot, I have the AA Guns Mod 2, which increases the range. However, you can see there is no accuracy to choose from. The first one is the artillery plotting modification, which increases your range to a significant degree. Main battery mod 2 actually increases your load time at having better turning turrets. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, I have the AA Guns mod, which extends the firing range. So while my AA is really good, the choice comes with your third equipment slot, and you have access to either plotting room number 2 or main battery modification 3. The third one, of course, is still the 12% reload buff. However, the plotting room modification 2 gets an 11% dispersion to your shells. So basically what this means with your tier 9 Iowa and Missouri and your tier 10 Montana is you can either have the best rate of fire and the best damage per minute potential for tier wise, or you can trade that out for having the best medium range accuracy at your tier, specifically from ranges of 12 to 17 kilometers. And with the way that the meta is currently, you have a lot of passive play, you have a lot of battleship gameplay that's very stagnant. I sincerely recommend going with this build simply because, A, the Germans and the Japanese do not have access to the even better reload, and I mean, it's a significant 11%. You're getting your dispersion down by 30 to 40 meters better when you run this equipment. And it's very significant considering, at least with the Montana, for instance, you have 12 of those guns. And if you're able to land a lot of the shells on target, which you are certainly going to see here coming up in this gameplay that I'm about to show you, just how ridiculous it can be. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't a time and place for using the rate of fire build, but I just find on the American battleships, since they seem to be more brittle and they seem to be worse off than their contemporaries, that this is the proper way to go about your business. Right, moving on here, a couple clips I just want to show you. I've obviously cherry-picked these out, but they're not necessarily cherry-picked because there's something absolutely ridiculous. This is the kind of advantage that you get when you're running the accuracy module. This one is a game that I was playing with my buddy Spider. Moving in towards Objective Alpha here, and I see that an enemy Moskva appears at 15 kilometers. That's a pretty long-range shot regardless of the tier, but look at that nice, tight dispersion. It's almost like the shells are in a line across the screen, and as they fall in on the Moskva, triple citadel with 4 overpens. I actually got extremely lucky that I did not delete that guy outright. Fast forwarding ahead a little bit later, this is the exact next salvo that I shot. You can see the Moskva's hit points just got absolutely eradicated as my buddy Spider is about to get the kill on him. Then I see almost a full health North Carolina at 14 kilometers, get a full broadside out. And once again, the accuracy is absolutely glorious. We're going to follow the shells in here on the target. And once again, I get extremely unlucky to not outright delete them. 46,000 with yet another triple citadel. Alrighty guys, moving into the gameplay now here. I'm in my tier 10 American battleship, the Montana. I'm divisioned up with my buddy ElasticSpyder, and he's in his tier 10 American heavy cruiser, the Des Moines. and we're playing some domination here on the map Mountain Range. So first of all, look how beautiful the Monty is. I love the premium paint that this ship has. Easily worth the 5,000 gold. It's fantastic. Reduces the repair cost to a significant degree, and it makes the ship look pretty badass, if I say so myself. So, anyway, going back to the rate of fire versus the accuracy. Now, with 0.6 that just came out, of course, there is a bunch of new captain skills, and one of them is called Adrenaline Rush, and it's a tier 2 skill. Now, this is something very interesting, because if you run the accuracy module, which I do, for every for every 1% of hit point that's lost, you gain an increase in your reload by 0.2%. And over time, that adds up to a pretty significant degree, where by the time that you only have 10 to 20,000 hit points in your Montana, you're going to be having a reload on your main battery of around 24 to 25 seconds, which is even better than having the reload module on. And you get the benefit of the accuracy. So that's something very interesting to think about for your commander. However, if you decide not to do that, I really do feel like this replay shows you just why having the accuracy module is much better. As I've mentioned already, the high-tier battleship gameplay and just high-tier gameplay in general is pretty stale, at least here it is on the North American server. And it's just a lot of long-range combat. And with the Japanese and the Germans being much stronger the closer that they get to the target, having better secondaries, I just really don't feel there's a reason to get your Montana in and up close and personal all the time. Yes, back in the day when this game was very new and German battleships didn't exist, you could go brawling in this thing a little bit better, but it's just the fear factor of the Yamato, with those 18-inch guns, and of course the ships like the Izumo and the Friedrich der Grosse, which have the much better performing secondaries, and you'll get burned alive and have a lot of your hit points taken out before your secondaries can even open up as well. So I get my first broadside of the game here at the enemy Udaloy, and that is probably going to be the worst accuracy that you'll see throughout the game. And I was at 17.5 kilometers, had quite a few shells that were way above the normal spread, but I still managed one overpen for 1,350 damage. So here on Mountain Range, really quick, a little bit of map strategy. I love going for B and C, simply because you can see, looking at the minimap on the 4 through 6 line, going from south to north as you're looking at it, there's that island chain that comes right up through the middle of the map. And if you're able to capture C and B, not only do you own 2 of the 3 caps, but if the enemy team sends a significant portion of their forces to A, it forces them, no pun intended, to have to come through all of those little gaps in the channels and whatnot in between the islands to get to B. And you can basically just channel them in, again, no pun intended, and it makes it a lot easier to deal with ships. You can single them out as they're coming through the channel, and unless they have really aggressive destroyers that are trying to go for C and B and have good support, it's pretty much a win. I mean, this is one of those maps where if you do the right thing going for B and C, you're pretty much guaranteed to win the game. So, broadside out here at the Amagi, 22.5 kilometers away. Look at that dispersion. That's some fantastic stuff. Yes, RNG plays a factor. I am completely aware of this. But look at that dispersion. We're going to follow the shells in here on the target. Right as they come in on the Amagi, some nice plunging fire right into the side belt. 13,300 damage done. Almost 14k with 3 penetrating hits. And I don't think that Amagi saw that one coming at all. That was a pretty awesome shot. And of course, due in part to the accuracy module. That was just good stuff. So a very nice shot, long range here at the beginning of the game. Very good stuff. So at this point, we've captured Bravo. The enemy has captured Charlie. They have sent quite a bit of their ships over to sea as well. And obviously, there's some enemy ships moving in towards A, but not too worried about it at the moment. We have lost a destroyer, but it's not too big of a deal. So my buddy Spider and I decided, hey, we're going to go into B or get near B, and we're going to see what we can do. There's a Currywurst, and there's a Yamato going over to A. There's also an enemy Minotaur that's going to be over there as well, so there's definitely a few ships. And our Dmitry Jansko actually starts complaining in chat about, you can see there, Des Moines, referring to Spider, you coward. We specifically stated at the beginning of the game that we were not going to go to A, so I really don't know what that guy was doing. I get another long-range salvo out at that Minotaur, 22.5 kilometers roughly. Again, you can see the dispersion here on the shells. They're falling in on the target, and let's see what we get here. Triple Citadel on the Minotaur. Holy crap. 51,000 damage already. Get a completely ridiculous, devastating strike on that guy. He popped his smoke and started to go in reverse, and I took a guess, an educated guess, on what he was doing there, and, well, he backed up right into my broadside, and that was pretty freaking sweet. Next broadside here at the Amagi, 19.3 kilometers away when the guns were fired. We're We're going to take a look here, and once again, the dispersion is really good. The lateral dispersion across the screen, or excuse me, the horizontal dispersion is pretty darn good. More shells falling in. Quite a few hit the mid portion and the bow. 10,000 damage done. So 3 salvos, 61,000 damage roughly done because of that. And that's some really good accuracy. 3 salvos, 3 very good RNG rolls with this accuracy module. Very good stuff. Now here, the Amagi does have some troll armor, unfortunately. So this next broadside, while he's going nice and straight yet again, the shells are going to fall in and hit the spaced armor that's just above the waterline. I only get 1 over pen and 1 shell that does bounce. But regardless of that, 3 out of my last 4 salvos have still been absolutely great. And I've barely taken a scratch. I think I took a couple hits over there from one of the Yamatos, or maybe it was the Currywurst. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm swinging my guns into play now here on the enemy Yamato. He's 16.6 kilometers away. He is angled in very well. There's no way I'm going to be able to get a Citadel at that angle, so I'm just trying to shoot and hit the superstructure and see what I can do. Now, there are 2 enemy Shimikazes on the enemy team. One of them appears 8.8 kilometers away in front of me, and then the other Shimikaze appears as well. I get about a 6,000 damaging hit there on the enemy Yamato, as I do take some shells from the Baltimore, and he does set a fire on the stern of my ship. But now I'm looking for a shot here on this enemy Shimikaze, and I don't think that he's paying much attention to me. He is shooting his guns at the enemy, or at the friendly gearing that's behind him, as my buddy Spider does manage to take out the other Shimikaze. So now I get a full broadside here as the shimmy comes around the corner. He's at about 17,000 hit points. Get a full broadside out, and we'll see what happens here. The dispersion looks absolutely fantastic, and holy crap, 16,000 damage done. 4 full penetrating shells right there. 16,000 damage, absolutely obliterate that enemy destroyer. That's something that you don't see very often. And then this Fletcher comes out of nowhere, and he's 4.5 kilometers off my starboard side. So now I'm going to keep on turning, and I'm going to swing my guns into play. My secondaries were opening up on him. We're going to switch to the free cam here, looking for another broadside here. The guns are reloaded. The turrets are turning full broadside out, and yeah. That Fletcher goes down to 429 health, and my secondaries are going to finish the job right here. So there we go. Close quarters expert, ironically, in this ship, something that doesn't happen very often. I do take 2 torpedo hits from that enemy Fletcher, but at the end of the day, we took out 2 of their important destroyers, 2 very powerful destroyers, Tier 9 American and the Tier 10 Japanese. 3 kills already for me, up to 92,000 points of damage. And that accuracy, though, I mean, that's good stuff. There's something about seeing those just nice tight spreads that it just makes me so happy. And it's something that you can have if you run the 3rd equipment piece with this accuracy. Again, the rate of fire is fine. The rate of fire is nice. But this accuracy module, it just, at least for me, the playstyle that I use, I'm not saying change your playstyle. I'm not saying do something that you're not comfortable doing. I'm just saying accuracy module on these American battleships seems to work better for me. So I start to come to a complete stop here, and I'm waiting to see what this Currywurst is going to do. The enemy Yamato is coming through the channel. He's 14.5 kilometers away, and he's moving in towards Bravo. And I see now that the Grosse Kurfürst is committing to a turn. So as I did start to back up, I'm now going to gun my engines full ahead, and I'm going to try to get a broadside here, hoping that I'm going to be able to get my guns trained in time. So I'm being patient. I'm waiting for him to go full broadside. I'm getting my damage going, my damage control party going, getting some hit points back. Always a good thing. Going to go up above 60,000 hit points. And I don't think this Currywurst was expecting this, quite frankly. So now I'm going to get a full broadside out. And once again, notice the dispersion. It looks very good. Going to get well over half of my shells to impact the target. 20,000 damage done with 6 penetrating hits. 2 ricochets, unfortunately, but still 20k without a Citadel is fantastic stuff. 117,000 points of damage done. And yeah, damage-wise, fantastic stuff. The enemy has moved in to Objective Bravo as well, and they have captured A since then, but all we have to deal with are these enemy ships that are over at B, and victory will definitely be ours. We do have 7 ships compared to the enemy team's 5, so if we're able to take these guys out quickly here, we should be just fine. I do take a pretty sizable hit there, about 6,000 from the enemy Yamato. I was looking for a shot on the Ibuki, but he gets taken out from our friendly Shimikaze with a nice, devastating strike. We have regained the points lead. So now that Yamato shot about 15 seconds ago, so I'm going to continue my turn, and I should be able to get angled away decently enough. I know that's somewhat of a joke in and of itself, but I should be able to get angled decently to him by the time he shoots at me next. Get a full broadside out. Almost the entire salvo hits, 8 shells out of 12. Unfortunately, 6 bounce. It's Yamato armor. There's nothing you can do about it. But I do angle away nicely and only take 5,500 damage from that guy. So I'd say that it certainly could have been a lot worse, that's for sure. But even at this kind of angle, the Yamato is probably at about a 40-degree angle to me. These 16-inch guns just yeah, they just don't have as much punching and penetrative capability as you might think. Full broadside out, though, yet again here on the enemy Yamato. And, again, look at that accuracy. 10 kilometers away, almost every shell is going to hit this target. Let's see here. We got, like, 10 out of the 12 shells hit the Yamato. Do a pretty respectable amount of damage. Again, he's angled in pretty well. But, hey, almost all the shells hit, so you're increasing the chances that those shells are going to be able to get at least overpens or do some damage. Now, I noticed that the Currywurst was moving about around the island over there. So I'm not going to get caught in a broadside from him, so I'm going to continue to turn to starboard. I'm not worrying about the Yamato too much, and I'm going to get my trains gunned on this guy. He's got 17,000 hit points, and he's at 7 kilometers, and as he starts to turn to his port, I get a full broadside out. Once again, almost all the shells are going to impact the target. Nice 10,000 damage. Salvo 11 of the 12 shells hit the target. Unfortunately, I am a little bit too much broadside, so I'm going to take quite a massive hit here just from his rear turrets that hit just underneath the smokestack. I definitely take a solid chunk, about 20,000 of my hit points. I don't think I got Citadel there, though, because I was able to get back the majority of them. Now, that Yamato gets almost 10k from one freaking shell that goes through the rear, but hey, it's a Yamato. What can I do? Looking for a shot here now on the Currywurst. He's just under 9,000 hit points. Get a full broadside out. He's at about 11 kilometers when these shells impact, and look at that stuff. I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but yeah, there was no way that guy was going to live. 2 penetrating strikes, 3 overpens. The majority of that salvo hit the target. Get my 4th ship sunk in the game. 148,000 points of damage done. And now we have the game in the bag. 607 to 485. The enemy team still has control of Charlie and Alpha. However, my buddy Spider is moving on to Charlie, and he's looking to gun down that enemy Baltimore. He's bowing to him, and he shouldn't have too much trouble. So, recapping all this, yes, I understand that RNG is a huge part of this game. But this accuracy module, just the playstyle that I like, the playstyle staying a little bit more at range than you might like to, at least at the beginning of the game. Obviously, I got in pretty close here in the latter stages of this game, but that accuracy module just works so good, and, you know, the closer you get, the better it gets, and it's very similar to the Japanese and German secondaries. Obviously, the closer you get with those ships, the better off you are. You do have the ability, however, to stay at range with these American battleships. That's all I'm saying. You have the ability to not only stay at range, but actually do damage. I mean, quite frankly, a Bismarck or a Friedrich the Grosse shooting from 17 to 20 kilometers consistently, you're just not going to do much in those ships. They just don't have the raw accuracy to be able to do that. So that's why I really feel that running the accuracy module is much more important. My buddy Spider there gets a nice kill on the Baltimore, picks up, I think, his 2nd or 3rd kill of the game. And with that being said, chasing down this Amagi is going to take a little bit. So with that being said, we're going to end the replay right here. I really hope you guys enjoyed this replay, and I also really hope you just enjoyed hearing about the 2 different builds that you can go with these American battleships. I really hope that it, you know, might help you with your high-tier American battleship gameplay, and at least give you some food for thought to think about when you're, you know, deciding what you want to go with. The Sneaky Snake here for Brothers in Arms World of Warships. Thank you guys very much. Please like, subscribe, comment on the videos, do whatever. We appreciate the support, and have a great day.